Did anybody else want further clarification?
I have a question to that, yes. Rendering phases, right?
Mm-hmm.
What things should I do in which phase? Like I saw that you can pass a phase to the after render effect.
So maybe just like 2-sentence story, and we'll see if it answers the question. So generally speaking, how the after render effect like was born at all, right? Like it's kind of smoosh of effect and after render hooks, and after render hooks already have those phases, right? And so it's not something that will be introduced. It's after render effect is like after render hooks had them already. And I'm saying this is kind of combination of after render because it runs with the timing of after renders. So the idea is like it's a timing where we know that the framework synchronized all your data model with the DOM, and it's safe to look at the DOM. So that's why there's after render in the name, and there's an effect in the name because it behaves as an effect in the sense it responds to the change of reactive dependency. Now phases, the idea behind phases is to do the DOM reads as late as possible. That's kind of probably the simplest way of looking at it. Because reading from the DOM might trigger, or like reading certain properties from the DOM might trigger a browser to say like, oh, you want to the size of this element. Now let me call the like reflow and layout algorithm and like kind of figure out how elements are laid out on a page. And that's expensive operation. So like always kind of triggering those reflows in the JavaScript code is kind of, well, it's slow and it's blocking the actual main thread. So we want to delay those operations as kind of push them as late as possible. Not always easy, right? Like because sometimes you just want to read and then do something right.
Yeah, I think the real danger there is kind of avoiding alternating between reading and writing,
yes.
Right? Like read something which causes a reflow, then you write, which changes the page layout, then you do another read to cause another reflow, and so on.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what happens if you put DOM code inside of after view chapter after view init, because like that runs kind of in the middle of one component, which might read from the DOM, and then Angular goes to check the next component, which writes to the DOM, and then it's after view init runs reading from the DOM again, and so on. So we see kind of in pathological cases, like applications have, might do like 30 reflows if they show a table of 30 rows, and that's just a little bit insane.
Right.
So the idea with the phases is you tell us kind of what you're doing when you're reading versus when you're writing, and we figure out how to best organize those to only reflow once.
Right. So basically like you would use those phases where you know what kind of the logic that is executed for sure, right? Like if I update the DOM only without reading from it, then that goes to the write phase. If I kind of trying to figure out the data, then it goes to the read phase. And if it's like all together, then it goes to this like read-write phase. Those are the hints that help us optimize. Like the world will not end if you don't use them. But yeah, optimization techniques.
So like what could, for example, be a use case where I want to run an effect in mixed read-write phase?
You never kind of choose that phase. It's the default. So it's the one if like, I don't know any better, I don't know what this code is going to do, mixed read-write is kind of the safe option or the least harmful option.